mean, it needs to be about inclusion, you know, and this applies not only just to someone who can't see like I was, or someone who is deaf. This is to anyone who is struggling with social emotional development, or they're struggling with sensory motor challenges. We have to put on, we're teaching them point of view. We have to take on their point of view because they are living a different experience than we are. And I know that's easier said than done. I know that because I've been the mother thinking, what am I doing wrong? But I learned from that, and I learned to give myself grace. But I hear that from families all the time. They think it's their fault. It's not your fault. It's just, these are things that you don't know until you know them, you know? And so I love that you are doing these online classes. It's just, you're making it accessible, this kind of information. I want to talk a little bit about background knowledge.
Okay.
So a lot of the people on here have heard me talk about background knowledge. We are supposed, those are the building blocks of our lives. You know, if I am facing a decision, at my age, it's probably not the first time I've faced something like that. Well, I say that, and then we have COVID-19 going on. So I just proved my own self wrong right there. But so many things we face, we've had some derivation of that before. So I'm facing the situation. I am going to think about what happened last time. This part of my decision went well, not so much. So I need to redirect that part of it. I may reach out to you and say, hey, Carla, here's my situation. What would you recommend? I'm going to combine all of these things to help inform my decisions. If I'm reading and it's about a baseball game, I'm going to think about when I went to see the Houston Astros play, and I'm going to pull something in about how fun that was and the sound of the crowd and the taste of the food. But I've used the example when I was blind, I didn't see the color of the water. The ocean waves were overwhelming because my auditory was trying to overcompensate that my equal vision weren't working. The kids who don't have hearing and don't know about that doorbell, they don't know why people are laughing and people don't think to stop. You had a really powerful couple. Let's pick one of those stories to share that I think really drives this point home. And this applies to any kids who are having developmental challenges that interfere with them knowing how to use background knowledge in life.
Yeah. Which story would you like for me to tell?
I think the one about the neighbors who used to play together.
Okay. So there is an author, and I need to find out what her name is, a deaf woman who wrote a book, and she came and spoke at our interpreter training program when I was there in New Jersey. She grew up in, I believe it was in the Bronx, and she was the only deaf person in her family. She didn't have any access to any language. She did not know sign language or any language at all. And in fact, when she was 12 and she finally went to school where there was somebody who knew some sign language, at that point, she still didn't know her own name. Wow. Because that's background knowledge. You hear that. You hear your own name, and that's how you know what your own name is. You know, if someone's deaf, then they only know the information that's given to them directly, you know? And so all these things, when she started school, they would ask her, you know, who is that? And she would say, that's him, this, and she just do a sign name, and they're like, who is this? Is this your uncle? And she doesn't know. She just knows that it's this. She doesn't know what his actual name is or anything. But she had a cousin that lived like a couple of blocks from her, and they used to play together all the time. Their families got together and regularly, at least once a week. And then for a while, he didn't show up to play, and she kept wondering, where was he? When was he going to come back over and play? And then her family got everybody dressed up, and they went over, and she was so excited they were going to go, because she could tell as the direction they were going over to his house. And they got there, and everyone was dressed in black. Everybody was crying, and he was laying on a table, and she could see him there. And she was thinking, when is he going to get up and play with me? Because she thought he was sleeping. She did not have any concept, any understanding of what was happening there, and stayed there that whole period of time, looking at him, waiting for him to wake up. And then their family packed her back up, and they went back home, and she never understood. And it was weeks later before it ever got across to her, because she was still asking her mom, where is he? You know, and it was weeks later before she understood that he had passed away, and she had no way of understanding. She had no realm of reference, no frame of reference to figure out what the circumstances were. And we all, as you hear the story, you know what's happening very early in the story, because you have all this background knowledge to put together, but she didn't have any of that. And so she just was caught completely off guard and unaware.
Thank you for sharing that. That is one of the most profound depictions of kids lacking background knowledge that I have ever heard. And I've been doing this for decades. And that just knocked me to my knees when you shared that. So if you have kids out there who the sensory motor environment is not making sense to them, they may have equilibrium issues and you may not know it. They may complain of their tummy hurts, they're dizzy. A lot of these kids are avoidant of motion, or they seek it all the time. They may have body awareness issues. I don't feel my body the way you do. And so even your nonverbal communication is a foreign language to me. And I don't know where I am in space, so I'm not going to learn spatial concepts. It can be the visual perception and processing, the auditory processing, touch, smell, taste. I may not internally, I may not know when I'm hungry and when I'm full and when I need to go to the restroom. And I'm embarrassed because I'm 9 years old and I still sometimes wet my pants.
Yeah.
We have got to give these kids a voice in some form. I always talk about giving a voice, and a voice can be American Sign Language. It does not have to come from the larynx. We have to give communication. We have to fill in the blanks for them. And it's just so easy. It's kind of like, with my neurology background, when I go to present seminars all the time, I think about who's in the audience. I'm not any smarter than them. It's just that I have different background knowledge than what they do. They know way more about most things in life than I do. But I'm sitting there thinking, are they physicians? Are they teachers? Are they parents? Why are they sharing their time with me? And that is going to adjust what I present and how I present it. That's going to bring value to them. We kind of just have to do that all the time for any of these kids who are struggling, and not assume they know things. We have to take kind of 3 steps back maybe and think. And I know that it's not automated at first, but once you start doing it, it becomes very automated. And the reward of having that relationship in a child who is flourishing and not depressed and not having poor self-esteem, not thinking that they're not worthy of engagement. American Sign Language benefits anybody who learns it. And knowing about the culture, when you hear all of this talk about, the United States is a melting pot, and we have people from all other countries, but this is a culture too.
It is.